Vision IB, where physics becomes clarity.
So, hello, my dear friends. This is our second lecture on quantum physics. And in the previous lecture, we discussed about the experimental observations of photoelectric effect. Now, as you know that the wave theory of light was quite famous during those days before the Einstein gave the photoelectric effect equation. So the wave theory of light was very successful during those days. So because the wave theory of light was able to explain interference, diffraction, and all those concepts very easily, so scientists assumed that the wave theory of light should also be able to explain the experimental observations of the photoelectric effect. So after all the experimental observation of the photoelectric effect, the big question comes: is wave theory of light able to explain the experimental observation of the photoelectric equation or the photoelectric effect? So let's start. I have made a comparison table of the failure of wave theory of photoelectric effect, why the wave theory failed to explain the photoelectric effect. So in this, I have divided this table into three parts. One is the experimental observation, the actual observation that we got during the photoelectric effect experimentation. The second is the prediction of wave theory of light, and the third part is why the wave theory of light failed to explain the photoelectric emission experiment, right? So the first point is from the experimental observation, there was the existence of a threshold frequency. We had already discussed threshold frequency in the previous video. If you had not checked it, please go and check it. So the concept of threshold frequency says that no electrons are emitted if the frequency of the light is below certain minimum value or the threshold value, no matter how intense the light is. But if we look at its prediction by the wave theory of light, so the wave theory of light says energy depends only on the intensity, not on the frequency. So even the low frequency light of high intensity should eject electrons after some time. So there is, you can see there is a complete mismatch between the experimental observation and the model predicted by the wave theory of light. So why the wave theory of light failed to explain the experimental observation is the experiment shows that electrons are ejected only if the light has a frequency greater than the threshold frequency, proving energy depends on the frequency, not on the intensity. But but the prediction by the wave theory of light was completely different. It says that high intensity of light should emit electrons after some times. Now look at the second point where the wave theory uh, failed to explain the experimental observation of photoelectric effect. So the experimental observation shows instantaneous emissions. So during instantaneous emissions means what? Whenever the light was incident on a photosensitive plate, the electrons are emitted immediately within the time frame of 10 raised to minus 9 seconds, right? But according to the wave theory of light, the energy should spread over the wavefront and absorbed gradually by the electron. In simple words, emission should be delayed until the electron collects enough energy. But we can see there is a mismatch in the experimental observation as well as the wave theory of light. So wave theory of light says the emission should be delayed, but the experimental observation shows that there was an instant emission within the range of 10 raised to minus 9 seconds only. So it failed to explain the instantaneous emission. So this is where the wave theory of light failed to explain the instantaneous emission concept, right? Now, let's have a look at the third point. Third point is related to kinetic energy. So, kinetic energy depends on the frequency. As we have already studied in the previous lecture, that the kinetic energy depends on the frequency. It does not depend upon the intensity of the light. So, the maximum kinetic energy of emitted electrons increases with the frequency of light, but is independent of the frequency. So in the experimental observation, we observed that the kinetic energy increased with the increase in the frequency, but the wave theory explains completely different. Wave theory says greater intensity means more energy per unit area. Electrons should have higher kinetic energy as the intensity increases. So this is also completely opposite. So in this you can see that the wave theory explains that the kinetic energy depends upon the intensity. So as we increase the intensity, the kinetic energy should increase. But in the experimental observation, we see that the kinetic energy does not depend upon the intensity, it depends upon the frequency of the light. So, wave theory of light deliberately failed to explain the increasing intensity, right? So now we have the fourth point. So fourth point is partially correct. So the number of photoelectron depends upon the intensity for a given frequency above threshold frequency. Increase light intensity increases the number of emitted electron. This part is partially explained by the wave theory of light, but still it was not able to explain it completely. Like particle, it partially says correct, but it also fails to explain the instantaneous and the frequency dependent nature of the emissions. So from all these 4 points, we can see that there is a complete mismatch between the predicted wave theory of light and the experimental observation of the photoelectric effect. So the well-established wave theory of light failed to explain the photoelectric emission in this case. So after the wave theory failed to explain the experimental observations of photoelectric effect, Einstein came into the picture and he proposed a radical new theory of photoelectric effect that could explain photoelectric effect. So in 1905, Albert Einstein proposed a new picture of electromagnetic radiation to explain the photoelectric effect. So according to this new theory, Einstein proposed that light is made up of particle and every radiation consists of a discrete units called as quantum of energy, which is represented by h nu. So he told that the radiation consists of a small packets of energy. Now these packets of energy have light have energy that is termed as E is equals to h into nu. So instead of considering light as a wave, Einstein proposed that light is made up of particles. So after Einstein came up with the photoelectric equation considering the uh, light as a particle rather than wave, he gave us he considered 3 points, 3 scenarios. So this phi naught is work function. And what is work function? Work function is the minimum amount of energy that is required to eject an electron from the photosensitive metal plate or the material. Suppose I have this photosensitive material and a light is incident on this photosensitive material, so electrons will be emitted from this metal plate. So it is the work function is the minimum amount of energy required to eject an electron from the metal surface. So he considered 3 points. So if energy, we already know energy which is given by E is equals to h nu. So he told that if h nu is greater than the work function, if the incident energy is greater than the work function, photoelectric emission will take place. And if the energy is less than the work function, photoelectric emission will not take place. And in the third point, he told that if the energy is equal to work function, photoelectric emission will take place, but it will not have enough kinetic energy to move from one plate, like collector plate, emitter plate, to the collector plate. So from this three, we can conclude that let's have a look at this photoelectric equation, which says that K max, maximum kinetic energy of the emitted photoelectron, is equals to h nu minus work function. So what does this mean? This means that if we look at the first scenario in which h nu is greater than the work function, if the supplied energy is greater than the work function, then some of the energy will be used to overcome this work function, and the remaining energy remaining energy in the electron will appear in the form of kinetic energy. So this is the equation of maximum kinetic energy of an electron ejected from a metal plate. In the second scenario, we already seen that the supplied energy to the photosensitive plate is less than the work function. So of course, in this no emission will takes place. And in the third, you can see that the supplied energy is equal to the work function. So in this case, photoelectric emission will take place, but it will not have enough energy to reach to the collector plate or the other side of the plate, right? So from this equation, from all this scenario, we came to know that the maximum kinetic energy of an emitted electron, K max, will be equals to h nu minus phi 0, which is also known as work function. Now, if I were to arrange this equation in the other form, I'll see that h nu is equals to phi naught plus K max. Now, again here phi naught is work function and K max is the maximum kinetic energy of an ejected electron. So this is what the Einstein photoelectric equation is, and this is how the Einstein was able to explain the photoelectric emission with the help of the particle theory of light. So after Einstein gave the beautiful equation of photoelectric effect, considering light as a particle nature, it was well established that light consists of both particle as well as wave. So light shows particle nature as well as wave nature, which was well established by the Einstein's photoelectric equation. Now let's have a look at the photon picture of radiation. We already studied about the wave nature of radiation. Now let's study about the photon nature of radiation. So Einstein told that radiation behaves as if it is made up of particle when it interacts with the matter, right? So when it interacts with the wave, the light behaves as a wave. When the light interacts with matter, it behaves as a matter, right? He also told that the energy of each photon is given by E equals to h nu. And after that, the third point that he mentioned, that momentum of each photon is given by h nu by c, where c is the speed of a light and p is the momentum of a photon. Now, it was well established that all photons of radiation have same frequency of all the photons of radiation of same frequency have same energy and same momentum. Okay, and it was also well established that energy and momentum of a photon is independent of intensity of the incident light, which wave theory of light failed to explain, right? And it was also proved that photons are electrically neutral, and in a photon particle collision, total energy is always conserved, momentum is conserved, number of photons may not be conserved, like the number of photons emitted uh, uh, may or may not be conserved, like the total number of incident photon and the total number of photons reaching the other side of the plate may or may not be same, but the energy is conserved and the total momentum is conserved. So now, after Einstein proposed that the radiation consists of both particle as well as wave nature, so the radiation shows both particle and wave nature, there was a question among the scientists, like, if the wave shows the particle nature, can a particle or a matter show the wave nature? So like, yes, the answer is yes, the matter shows wave nature, and it was first proposed by the scientist known as de Broglie, and he gave a hypothesis, like, if a particle of mass m, which is moving with velocity v, behave like a wave under a suitable condition. So let's look at the de Broglie hypothesis. So de Broglie told that wavelength of the matter associated is given by lambda is equals to h by p, where p is the momentum of the particle. So if we further elaborate this equation, we get lambda is equals to h by mv, where m is the mass of the particle. So yes, a particle of mass m moving with the velocity v behaves like a wave under the suitable condition. Now the question comes, why the matter around us, like the table, chair, fan, or the human body, or the earth, why they do not show wave nature? So this is a big question. Like, if matter behaves as a wave, why do we not see the wave nature in the in our surrounding matter, right? So if we look at the de Broglie's hypothesis clearly, we can see that lambda is equals to h by mv. So just look at this mass. From this we can see that the wavelength associated with the particle is inversely proportional to the mass. So if the mass is greater, the wavelength associated with the particle will be less. So that is the reason why the macroscopic objects like earth or the matter around us, like mountains, cars, trucks, why that's why they do not show the wave nature, because lambda is equals to h by mv, right? So here mass is inversely proportional to the wavelength. So yes, this matter does have a wave property, but it does not show it because the wavelength associated with the matter is very, very small, because wavelength is inversely proportional to the mass. Now, if we were to look at the matter at the quantum level, at the size of an atom, here the mass is very less. And as we know that wavelength is inversely proportional to the mass. So in this case, in the case of a subatomic particle or the atomic particle, the mass is very low, and that's why the wave nature attached with that mass is very high. So in case of the smaller objects, in the case of a quantum level, we can see the wave nature. We can see the wave nature. But when it comes to the large object like Earth, Sun, and Moon, we do not see the wave nature of the particle. Now, after we have covered all those photoelectric experiments, we studied how Einstein gave the photoelectric equation considering the light is a wave. We studied how light is made up of both particle as well as waves. And after studying the de Broglie's hypothesis, we will just look at the summary of after all this experiment, all this explanation. Let's look at the quick recap of whatever we have learned during this process. So first we learn about the photoelectric effect. So as we already know, when the light of a suitable frequency strikes a metal surface, electrons are emitted, and this is called as photoelectric effect. The second point is the emission depends upon the frequency and not the intensity of the light. So there are some key facts that we need to keep in mind during this revision. So in this, photocurrent is directly proportional to intensity, kinetic energy is directly proportional to frequency, and no emission below threshold frequency takes place, and emission is instantaneous. After that, we covered the stopping potential concept. So as we have already studied, it is the minimum reverse potential needed to stop the photoelectrons, and it depends upon the frequency, not on the intensity, right? And after that, as we moved further in the lecture, we studied about the Einstein's photoelectric explanation, in which Einstein says that light consists of photons, energy packet, which is represented by E is equals to h into nu, and based on that we derived Einstein's photoelectric equation. We says that the maximum kinetic energy is h nu minus phi, and during our whole lecture we considered it as phi naught. So this phi is just phi naught, which we represented as work function. So maximum kinetic energy is h nu minus work function. So Einstein was able to, with Einstein photoelectric equation, considering the light as a particle, Einstein was able to explain the photoelectric explanation. So we also studied about the failure of wave theory, why the wave theory could not explain the threshold frequency or the instantaneous emission. It also failed to explain the predicted gradual energy absorption. So we have studied all this. After that, we studied about the wave particle duality. So wave particle duality, like scientists thought that if a wave can show the particle nature, can a particle show a wave nature? And that was proved true by the de Broglie's hypothesis. So in de Broglie hypothesis, it says that the wavelength associated with the particle of m moving with the velocity v is given by lambda is equals to h by p, which is further written as lambda is equals to h by mv, since p is momentum, right? So in this summary, we concluded that at macroscopic scale, the particle nature dominates, and at the microscopic or the atomic level, uh, uh, wave nature becomes more significant. And we also concluded that light and matter are dual in nature, both wave as well as particles. So hope you liked this lecture and gained some meaningful information from this. Please do like, share and subscribe to my channel. And in the next lecture, we are going to study about the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. And that will be our last lecture on quantum physics.
If this helped you understand physics better, like the video,